Hey Gearheads, Alan Bailey here, and yes, it is that time of year again. Now, this video I was actually planning on putting out sometime in the summer, but Motorsports Games held a conference call for their investors last week where they said this.
You could track videos online now that are actually making, for example, top 10 suggestions of what the 2022 feature set should be, and that is great. So you could foresee that we will be more paying attention to the community, taking their suggestions into what they would like to see in priority order features. And as much as we're able to include in these annual releases, we would.
Well, you heard him, Gearheads, so make sure that you mash that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and comment down below which of these top 10 features do you want to see in NASCAR 22, and more specifically, what not on this list do you want to see in the new NASCAR game? Comment down below because Motorsports Games is looking at this, and your input matters, so leave it down below right now. Starting off at number 10, this one's gonna kind of be a blanket statement. I want a more polished version of this game, and that includes things like working cautions that don't glitch out and have the entire field glitch out of existence and then glitch back in. Working AI, meaning that they're on the same level playing field as the player and that they actually have wreck avoidance so that they just don't pile into a giant pileup. Working stages that don't glitch out or crash the game, more steering wheel adjustments so that any player who has a steering wheel can make fine-tooth adjustments so that they can really sim this game if they want to. Plus, working point systems, because believe it or not, this is still an issue even in early April 2022 on PC. We do not have a working point system in the career mode. That needs to be fixed. And this one is for the career mode. Players' names on the back of the cars and on the roofs of the cars. This is something that doesn't happen right now in the career mode in NASCAR 21 Ignition, and it's something that needs to be added for the next game. Number 9. This one is obvious and very simple. A mirror. I miss the mirror. I never realized that I would have to include a mirror on this. I need this on my feature list. But apparently, we're doing that now. So, a working functional mirror for every view. I don't want to have to ride cockpit and turn my head in order to see what's behind there. Plus, frankly, in the new cars, they actually do have cameras. So frankly, I want both. I want the digital dashboard rear view mirror cam and the old school OG one hanging above my head. So 2 mirrors technically in NASCAR 22, please. Number 8, I want working fuel, tire, and damage gauges for the vehicle, and I want the fuel to go to the tenths of a gallon. Yes, I want 1.2 gallons, 1.1 gallon, 1.0 gallon, 0.9 gallons. That's what I want to see because I want to be able to calculate down to the tenths how much fuel I have left. It's not hard. This is something that was on my wish list last year. It was number 9 on my list last year. It's number 8 on my list this year. Honestly, this is a quality of life, and this is something that's going to make the game more competitive and more fun because ultimately when you're in a fuel mileage race, you're trying to save fuel. You're pushing it to the limit. You need to know where the limit is and if you're actually able to save fuel. I'm in career mode right now in NASCAR 21 Ignition, and honestly, for the life of me, there is no fuel gauge, but even worse, there's no real consequences for you running out of fuel, honestly. I've never run out of fuel. I've actually tried to run out of fuel in my career mode, and I still haven't been able to. I've messed with the settings, nothing seems to be working, and my spotter, for the life of me in NASCAR 21 Ignition, will just sit there and yell at me lap after lap after lap, pitting in 5 laps, pitting in 5 laps, pit next lap, pit next lap, pit this time, and 30 laps will go by and nothing will happen. So I don't think that fuel mileage or fuel is even a factor in the game at this point. Hopefully it will be in NASCAR 22. Number 7 on my list, a track map. I want to be able to see where the leader is and where the next car is in front of me, period. I love the tracker that they have in the upper left-hand corner in NASCAR 21 Ignition when it works, and honestly, make it so that I can add a mini track map somewhere on there. Because I want to be able to see where cars are. I want to be able to see when a car is pitting. I want to be able to see when a car is in the garage area. I want to see where the leader is so that I can try to time a pit stop perfectly or see how far I have to go. Because frankly, that makes a big difference. Number 6 on my list this year, I want a challenge mode. This is something that was in NASCAR Thunder 2004, and Motorsports Games has specifically said that's what they're trying to emulate. They're trying to get back to the Thunder days of the EA Sport days in the early 2000s, and honestly, I think that they definitely have the manpower and the knowledge to do it. It's just, frankly, they need to stop being hit by global pandemics and, frankly, the war that's happening between Russia and Ukraine that's affecting their business right now. These are two very big things, and I think a challenge mode is probably not something that's realistic for NASCAR 22, maybe NASCAR 23, where you have these challenges of real-life issues that happened in NASCAR that can make their way into the game. This will also add another level of depth to this game and give it more playability, meaning that players will be engaged in the game offline even more so that they can unlock things. And no, I'm not saying get rid of DLCs. I know that that's the bread and butter and where the video game industry is right now. Leave those alone. We will always have paint schemes that will need to be purchased through DLCs. I'm actually okay with that. I wish that wasn't the reality we were living in, but I'm okay with that. The challenge mode can unlock things like number 5 on my list, fantasy tracks. This was number 3 on my list last year, and it is something that, honestly, when thinking about it, I had so much fun growing up on the EA Sports games when I was a kid, playing those games, that I want that back. I want that, frankly, for my niece. My niece, who is a young race fan trying to get into NASCAR, is more into F1 right now because the F1 game that she plays with her dad is more in depth than the NASCAR game that she played once. Yeah. That's what you need to keep in mind here. The fantasy tracks in NASCAR Thunder 2004 were great because you had variations on racetracks like Daytona's road course, which wasn't actually the official Daytona road course, but a more fantasy version of it where you actually raced over Lake Lloyd on a bridge, which was actually kind of cool. And you had other variations like the Daytona Beach and Road course. Yeah, that one. That was so cool to race on when I was a kid. I absolutely loved it. And frankly, you could do versions of that or even past versions of racetracks. How would you like to race on the old version of Atlanta or even the old Homestead Miami that was basically a flat parking lot? Or even get wild and add real-life tracks in there that NASCAR Cup Series don't actually race at. Bowman Gray, anyone? I'm just saying, you can add those tracks in the fantasy, and you can make it so that those are DLCs, but you can also make it so that the challenge mode can unlock these tracks so that the players have incentive to keep playing the game outside of the career mode. Number 4 on my list this year is actually geared towards growing NASCAR's young fan base, particularly with children. A pre-race with NASCAR Info. This is what NASCAR Thunder 04 did amazingly. And honestly, it helped to build my knowledge of the sport of NASCAR when I was a kid, and it did the same for thousands of other kids. Have whoever is doing the pre-race voiceovers this year for the game actually sit in the booth and record 40 to 50 different little 15, 20, 30-second liners where they discuss Alex Bowman's career, or Denny Hamlin, or Joey Logano, or Kyle Larson, or Martin Truex Jr. Give me the information that, frankly, NASCAR fans who have been in the sport for 10, 15 years know off the back of their hand, but the new fans maybe don't necessarily know off the top of their head. This will give a great avenue and make the game feel realer. And frankly, it's just a little bit extra coding that can go miles for NASCAR in the long run, which is the point of these video games. Number 3 on my list, I really want a season mode, both with the official schedule, maybe a couple of fantasy schedules, but also a custom schedule. This is a feature that NASCAR Heat 5 had, and honestly, I loved it. Content creators absolutely love it, but frankly, kids can actually pick and choose what tracks they go to because frankly some kids don't like some types of racetracks and maybe they're good at, let's just say, restrictor plates and mile and a halves, but they don't necessarily like the short tracks and the road courses. Well, they can go ahead and create a super speedway mile and a half cookie cutter schedule that's 30 races long and just ignore all the road courses and short tracks if that's what they want. Putting this kind of control and customization into average players, particularly kids, goes miles. That's why it's on my list this year. Number 2 on my list, This was number 4 last year, caution replays. It's something that honestly I want to see as a player. It gives a little bit more in-depth, and it's something that you see on TV, and kind of with radio, they describe what the caution was, and you can actually figure out what the caution was. Yes, in my case, I'm the caution 9 times out of 10, but if there's a caution that I didn't cause, I want to see what it is. It seems like we don't really get a whole lot of cautions outside of the player in NASCAR 21 Ignitions, so maybe dialing up the caution rate with the AI drivers is something that needs to happen. Honestly, I don't think I've ever seen a caution in the game in career mode that wasn't caused by myself, the player. So maybe that is a legit problem that does need to be fixed for NASCAR 22. I don't know. This one is a doozy. There is a lot encompassing this particular one. Number 1 on my list is the career mode. Completely revamp it, redo it. There's a lot of things here that I want to see in the new career mode. I don't necessarily know if there's enough time to put everything in the game for NASCAR 22, but it should definitely be on the list for NASCAR 23 at the very least. There's a lot encompassing in this one, including owning your own team, the ability to pick a number, pick the make/model of the car, and signing individual sponsors to all the locations, looking at the incentives, looking at the money, looking at what they want you to accomplish on track so that you can keep them happy. Also, we need a development tree so that you can purchase upgrades to your race shop, purchase upgrades to your vehicle, so that there is a career progression. That way, money actually is worth something in the career mode. With the sponsors comes the ability to have custom paint schemes. And again, you can do something very simplistic like NASCAR Thunder 04 did, where there's a handful of designs and you just change the color on them for the kids that maybe don't necessarily have the best design knowledge, but make it so that you can also upload the custom paint schemes that you create in the paint booth. Paint booth was absolutely strong this last year compared to what we've seen the last 10 years in NASCAR games. So literally just copy and paste that into career mode and have the ability to do 100% custom paint schemes for the career mode, and it's perfect. Give the ability to sign and fire crew members at any given moment. If one of my tire carriers drops the ball and costs us spots on pit road, I want the ability to fire them that week. Also in the career mode, you need to make sure that we add a friend-rival system, just like NASCAR Thunder 2004, where you can draft or intimidate a driver. That way you can work with them and build that friendship, build that teammate, or you can intimidate them and just take them out. Also, give us the ability to own multiple cars in the Cup Series. If I, as an owner, want to start a 2-car organization or a 3-car organization and I have the money to do it, let me do it so that I can hire drivers away from other teams or promote guys from the Xfinity Series or the Truck Series up and into the Cup Series. I think that this would absolutely go miles and miles and miles. F1 does an absolute wonderful job with this with their game series, and I think it'd be extraordinarily easy to do something like that in NASCAR. And hey, if I want to add a 3rd or a 4th car, give me the ability to do it and pick the sponsors, pick the paint schemes for those guys as well. I personally, as a content creator, would have so much fun, and I would pretty much do 2 or 3 videos a week for years and years and years with just these features in the career mode alone. But when you add these features to a season mode as well, the possibilities are endless. I honestly think that Motorsports Games wants to make a good game. I honestly think that between the COVID pandemic and the war in Ukraine with Russia right now, Motorsports Games has been hit by forces beyond their control, which has absolutely killed their business. And I really hope that we don't literally see the business go under this year. There's another video coming about that. I honestly wish them all the luck because they are drowning right now. I truly hope that they get through it. And I know that a lot of people who work for Motorsports Games are highly affected on a personal level by everything that's happening between Russia and Ukraine right now. And honestly, for everyone involved, I hope it comes to a peaceful resolution very soon and that innocent people are not suffering any longer, because it is horrendous what's happening over there right now. And honestly, I wish everyone at Motorsports Games the best. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think of my list? What do you guys think of the prospect of NASCAR 22, NASCAR 23 moving forward, the next few games that are coming out from Motorsports Games? And while you're there, make sure you mash that subscribe button. We are so darn close to hitting 1,000 subscribers. Our 2-year anniversary of the channel is less than a month away. It's only a few weeks away, actually, at this point. And we really want to hit 1,000 subscribers by the 2-year anniversary. It would mean the world to me personally. It's my birthday month, so you can say happy birthday by mashing that subscribe button and being part of Gearhead Nation. Thank you guys so much for watching. For NASCAR 22 Not Ignition, I'm Alan Bailey. We'll see you at the track.